first children's book. You missed that. You came in there. Yeah.
All right, we want to welcome you to the House of Reawakening Minds tonight, and our teacher, instructor, Brother Abdulah.
All right. Peace, everyone. Assalamu alaikum. Beta Makam. Coming to the light. Beta Makam, coming to the light. Myself coming to the light. Now, tonight is the night's class is part 2 of the absence of a 3-part series titled The Absence of Moorish History in Black Academia. Tonight I'm going to be dealing with my book, Moors and Masonry, which addresses the re-examining the transatlantic slave trade claim in the context of the Moorish sea power during the 15, 16, 1700s. All right, so I'm going to be addressing this book tonight. To order my book, you go to MOORS-MUURS-MOORISCH. The title of the book, MOORS-MUURS-MOORISCH, to order the book. All right? The enslavement of Europeans doesn't fit the general theme of European world conquest and colonization that is central to scholarship on the early modern era. Robert Davis, professor of Italian Renaissance history, Ohio State University. I'll reread this. The enslavement of Europeans doesn't fit the general theme of European world conquest and colonization that is central to the scholarship on the early modern era. So this history of European Moorish enslavement of Europeans has been suppressed. It doesn't fit the theme, as Robert Davis states, of European world conquest and colonization. See, this enslavement, this Moorish enslavement of Europeans exposed to our people will cause them to re-examine the transatlantic slave trade claim. See, the story that has been fed to us is that the Spanish, the Portuguese, the French, the English, and the Dutch transported over 10 million Africans from the continent of Africa to North America, this part of America, South America, this part of North America, all right? South America, Central America. And this happened during 15, 16, 1700s. That these Africans, the story also goes, as we are taught in the schools and by African scholars and documentaries and magazines and so forth, History Channel, and that African kings and queens sold Africans to Europeans, and that Africans were transported like sardines, chained for a 300-year period. And story further goes that the Indians that our people, because of European social engineering, we think that the native people look like this. All right? We see these people on reservations. All right? Historical History Channel. You'll see, our children will see this next month. Every day next month, as leading up to Thanksgiving. And what they call the Pilgrim and Indian scene. All the children, both European and Asiatic children, you have from nursery school, pre-K 2-3, pre-K 4, kindergartners, first grade, second grade, third, fourth grade, will be drawing pictures, coloring pictures of what they call the Indian and Pilgrim scene. And they'll see pictures like this in the coloring books, documentaries. They'll be taking trips to what they call the American Indian Museum at Washington, D.C. They'll see pictures like this. All right? So this indoctrination starts at a young age. What they won't see in the schools, history channels, are pictures like this. This book is called Unexpected Faces in Ancient America by Alexander von Butenhoff. All right? These are stone heads, statuettes, masks, and figurines of the native people of this land, of North America, Central America, South America, and the adjoining islands. With broad noses and thick lips. What they'll see in the classrooms and the textbooks are drawings. They'll see drawings, but they won't see pictures of the San Lorenzo stone heads, which is a collection called the San Lorenzo stone heads that is as high as the ceiling, with broad noses and thick lips. They'll see drawings, and so therefore they think that the native people look like those on reservations, and not knowing that that millions of the native people live in inner cities. Millions of the native people live in inner cities. In fact, we walk outside this door right now. If I walk outside this door, I'll see native people. But we think that the native people only, O-N-L-Y, live on reservations. That is social engineering at its height. So they have used the transatlantic slave trade claim, though the Europeans who control our land. Help me out, brother. Help me out, brother. Help me out, brother. I need you to turn some pages. Just take the book from my hand. Take the book from my hand. And stand in front of that. Stand in front and turn some pages. So you see the pictures. Show some pictures. Thank you. All right, so as I'm talking, you can dig on and see pictures. Okay. All right. So you have those pictures in Unexpected Faces in Ancient America by Alexander von Butenhoff. Those are photos of actual stone heads, figurines, statuettes, and masks with broad noses and thick lips. This is archaeological evidence. We have to give people documented and verifiable evidence. Not opinion. Documented and verifiable evidence. So when you say that the native people have broad noses and thick lips, you want to be able to support your claim. Because millions of our people, because of European social engineering in the schools, also in Hollywood, Tonto, Lone Ranger, cowboy and Indian movies, this indoctrination runs deep. So our people don't see themselves as the native people. If you go to older books on the Seminoles and Cherokees and Blackfoot and so forth, you'll see dark olive people. You have what's called the Dawes Manual, the Dawes Roll, Senator Dawes, D-A-W-E-S, D-A-W-E-S, Senator Dawes. And you have the $5 Indian. Europeans were paying $5 to get their name put on the Dawes Roll. So this was socially engineered. So Europeans are making claims on our land. I got 2% Indian blood and so forth. 5% Indian blood. So the Europeans have used through political schemes, i.e. the Dawes Rolls, to position Europeans to gain control of our land. Meanwhile, the native people who live in the cities, by the millions, who don't know that they're native, are so fired up about this museum, this African American Museum, Smithsonian African American Museum in Washington, D.C. Over 1 million of our people have visited that since September. 1 last year. Over 1 million of our people have visited the African American Museum, the Smithsonian African American Museum at Washington, D.C. Over 1 million of our people have visited that. So our work is harder now, because that gives our people hope. that actually supports the lie and gives the lie more credibility in our people's eyes. Because now they got a huge museum, not some rinky-dink building. This is a real museum. It's like the other Smithsonian museums. We have a lot of work to do. All right? So, but we have to give them verifiable, documentary evidence. Abdullah, how do you know that this is Morocco? How do you know that this landmass, and that above it, falsely called Canada, that below it, Mexico, South America, and down is Morocco? All right? Good, thank you, brother. Thank you. Thank you. Okay, let me bring that book back up here. Thank you. All right? So this is verifiable archaeological evidence of our ancient presence. In fact, Alexander von Hoopnall, who has a collection of over 10,000 photos, came to Ivan Sertimer's defense. Ivan Sertimer, who was sent to transition about 3 years ago, wrote the book. One of his books he's written called They Came Before Columbus. He's also editor of The Golden Age of the Moors. Well, Ivan Sertimer wrote a letter over 20 years ago to the Europeans who control our Congress, the Moorish Congress. All right? Europeans who control the Moorish Congress. And strongly stated that Columbus Day should no longer be celebrated. And he made the very point that the African people have a history and presence here way before Columbus. So he didn't go as far as saying that we are the indigenous people, because he didn't mention the so-called Indians, all right? But there's no evidence. There's no statues that look like them. I mean, let's talk. All right. Where are the statues? Where are your stone heads? Where are your figurines that look like y'all? You saying that I am not native to this land. All right, no problem. That's fine. Let's debate intellectually. Let's debate. I laid Exhibit 1 as a point of evidence. We got the San Lorenzo Stoneheads and museums in Mexico and other parts of South America. San Lorenzo Stoneheads, and there's a whole collection of them that are in museums. And the Stoneheads are as high as this ceiling. If I were to, in fact, I got a picture of one of them. This is a drawing, but they actually have photos online. All right, let me put this out. I got to give people I have to give people.
LA City Council also, they on their calendar in LA, their city council actually ripped off Columbus Day and made it Indigenous People Day.
Yeah, but
they did that a few months
no,
ago.
I hear that, but the problem is, brother, that our people think the indigenous people live on reservations.
Right.
I hear you. I'm with you.
It's actually
all right. Let me say this. All right, let me say this, though. When Barack Obama signed the Rights of Indigenous People in December of 2010, since signing that, he invited for 5 consecutive years members of on reservations, members of the Indian American Indian Council. Those on reservations were invited to the White House every year for 5 consecutive years. He didn't invite Talib Bey. He didn't invite Abdulah Bey. He didn't invite Ras Mavaya. He didn't invite Commit to You. He invited those on reservations. So even though Barack Obama signed the rights of indigenous people, who's benefiting? Who's benefiting? Who benefited in the 2011, 2012, 13, 14, 15, 17, and after? Who benefited from the direct signing of the rights of indigenous people? If our people don't know that they're indigenous. So we can rights of indigenous people. Rights of indigenous people. Rights of indigenous people. Our people don't know that they're indigenous. So let me go back to this. Let me show people this. This is just a drawing from an actual photo of the San Lorenzo Stonehead. And you just go online, I want y'all to go online and Google San Lorenzo, and it's a whole collection. You have head 1, this is head 4, and head 1, head 2, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, and there's also another collection. All right? So another collection. Now, somebody on from reservation will get in your face and say you're not native. Argue with them in the academic sense. There's nothing wrong with argument in the academic sense of argument. So you present your evidence and have them present their evidence. These stoneheads are in museums all throughout Central and South America. It's that we are not aware of it. That's all. So Duali said, in order to change people, must change their literature, that we can make our people aware of these facts. So we are indeed the indigenous people, but the indigenous people don't know that they're indigenous. And then you have this museum, African American Museum. Over 1 million of our people have visited that. That's a fact, Jack. All over the country. And they're going to keep visiting. So we have this African American Museum with the slave ships and shackles and man, oh man, my ancestors were transported by this evil white man. He held us in the bells of ships. Oh man, I gotta get back to Africa. Oh, when I went to the museum, oh man, it was like that feeling. Oh, see that? We don't even know that we're indigenous to this land. We got a ways to go, but that's all right. We got to work at it. And the evidence is there. Now, I was talking this happened. This about maybe 6 months ago. This Moor classified as, she was born and raised in Mexico. It was classified as Spanish. And she would come to the library at Camden. And she would come through on her lunch break. And then we got to talk and about the history and so forth. And I showed her, these pictures on my website. All these photos are on my website, MOORS-MUURS-MOORISCH. You have MOORS-MASONRY.org, you go to the order the book, Moors and Masonry. You go to order this book, Moors and Masonry, you go to MOORS-MASONRY.org. To go to the photo gallery, you go to MOORS-MASONRY.net. MOORS-MASONRY.net. Moors Civil Letter. I'm sorry. Moorish Civil Letter. Yes, you can put MOORS-CivilLetter.net. You can put it right in front. Yeah, there you go. It's right on the back. Yeah, there you go. Do that. And you see that it's MOORSCivilLetter.net. Go to the photo gallery. I have all the photos. This book is over. Rod told me last time I was here that he looked online and saw that this book is about $300. They have one copy for $300, another copy for $1,000. All right. So if you can afford that, that's fine. But they jacked the price up on this book. All right. Unexpected Faces in Ancient America. And why did he call it Unexpected Faces? Why the title Unexpected Faces? Because of social engineering. Because the expected faces are what? Those on reservations. That's the expected faces. Those on reservations. Those in the cowboy Indian movies. Those that you see, that our children will see next month leading up to Thanksgiving, where they'll show the Indian and pilgrim scene. And none of the pictures that they'll show our children and European children, all right, will look like any of the images in this book. These are not drawings. These are actual photos of stone heads, masks, figurines that our people are not aware of. Because we call on this African American Museum, our people came from Africa. So how do we address this? So we have 11,000 years, 1,100 years, 1,100 years of buried history from 711 to 1850. And this whole series addresses that 1,100 years of buried history. First, I dealt with the Moorish Empire in Europe from 711 to 1492. Today, I'm dealing with Moorish sea power during the 15, 16, 1700s. Next class, which is part 3, I'm going to be dealing with the diplomatic relations between the Moroccan Empire and the United States between 1770 to 1850. And that's what the children's book, the first children's book, what we call it the Treaty of Peace and Friendship between Morocco and the United States, 1787. All right, and we'll go next time, just give you a quick preview, is that in the state delegates and also in the Continental Congress, the major debate that went on for several years was whether to pay Morocco, continue to pay Morocco and contribute, which was the customary European practice, to pass the high seas, or to put the money up for defense. This was a major debate in Virginia, delegate, Maryland, New Jersey, South Carolina, North Carolina. These debates were major. So the children's book will be teaching our children as well as the adults the political events that led up to the Treaty of Peace and Friendship. Even where Thomas Jefferson, Ben Franklin, and John Adams, who were appointed minister plenipotentiary to negotiate the treaty in 1784, to negotiate the Treaty of Peace and Friendship. All right, so I digress. So now, that's part 2, that's part 3. So I'll be doing that next month. All right. Now, you have, in 1816, this society was established. The Society of Knights Liberators for the White Slaves of Africa, established by British Admiral Sir Sidney Smith, with members from all across Europe. Once again, this was established in 1816. The Society of Knights Liberators for the White Slaves of Africa, established by British Admiral Sir Sidney Smith. Now, these societies, other societies were established, redemption orders that came after, you have the Trinity order, not the Trinitarian, but the House of Trinity, was established in the 1600s, and they were to raise money to get Europeans out of Moorish captivity. See, this major and re-examining the transatlantic slave trade claim in the context of Moorish sea power during the 15 and 1600s. I'm going to read these points and we're going to go over them. Tribute treaties between Morocco and European powers. European powers paying annual tribute to Morocco. Wars between the Moors and Europeans, English, French, Dutch, Portuguese, Aragonese, Castilian, German, Scottish. European powers paying ransom to Morocco for the release of Europeans held in Moorish captivity. Letters between Moorish emperors and European kings and queens addressing the issues of tribute payments, captivity, seizure of ships, and ambassadors. Petitions by Europeans to kings and queens of Europe to negotiate the release of their family members held in Moorish captivity. European redemption orders to raise money to pay for the ransom of Europeans held in Moorish captivity. Where is this addressed by these African scholars? Give me a book that I can go to, please, somebody. Not Moors and Masonry, that's my book. I'm talking about African. Don't say Moors and Masonry. Give me some book by these African scholars. Give me that addresses this. These are major. See, what I'm doing is I'm highlighting these as major points. Once again, the enslavement of Europeans doesn't fit the general theme of European world conquest and colonization that is central to scholarship of the early modern era. I'm going to read another quote. All right. William Dalrymple writes in his book, White Mongols, M-U-G-H-A-L-S, that's the main title, subtitle, Love and Portrayal in 18th Century India. Moors controlled India for 1,000 years. There's a book called Medieval India Under Mohammedan Rule. Medieval India under Mohammedan rule, 712 to 1763 before the British. We controlled India, Persia for 1,000 years. We Arabicized Sanskrit words and Persian words. So that we were just slaves and Europeans, they've covered this up. You're talking about 1,100 years of history from 711 to 1815 that they've covered up. And so when they talk about us, and these African scholars too, when the African scholars talk about Africans and Europeans, it's only in the context that we're this, what they call, connotatively speaking, they're slaves. When the conversation, Europeans and Africans, is that we're their slaves. Your African scholars, please give it to me. Somebody give me a book that writes that Africans had Europeans as slaves. Give me a book written by African scholars. I need you books written by Europeans. Over 100 of them. I need over 100 books written by Europeans. So this is not a Abdulah Bey point of view. The books that I reference in this book are written by Europeans. This is not an Abdulah Bey point of view. Written by Europeans. Europeans have written heavily on this subject matter. Why? Because it affects them. We held them in captivity. It affects them. I mean, everybody about their history. I keep saying to you that there is no European history outside of, once again, they're writing about their history. I mean, they're writing about our history. They write about history. They write about history. Because it's not a separate history. It's not, as these African scholars keep putting this false paradigm. Yeah. European history, African history. Now, we do have a history outside of them. Yeah, we do. I can come here and do a whole class without talking about Europeans at all. I can do a whole class without talking about Europeans at all. But Dr. Nailah cannot bring European here and to not talk about us. They'll be lying. She has to kick them out. They'll be lying. If Dr. Nailah brings a European here to talk about European history, and they're not talking about us as the center, kick him out. Because he's lying. He's lying. You can, no European who's talking truth can write about European history without mentioning the Moors at the center focus. It's talking paradigms. We are the Renaissance. It's not the Renaissance. It's the Moorish Renaissance. See how they cut Moorish out? They cut Moorish out. They didn't say Renaissance. They cut Moorish out. So instead of telling the truth, Moorish Renaissance, they say Renaissance. In all these schools, all these universities across our land, all the universities across our land teach a course on the Renaissance. They call it European history. They have a chapter on the Renaissance. They don't say Moorish Renaissance or Renaissance. They're lying. The fact they say Renaissance is lying. It's Moorish Renaissance. Because we're the ones that brought Europeans out of Dark Ages. And I said last time I was here, Cordoba was an educational center during that time of the 700s, 800s, 900s, 1,000. Well, year 1,000 and beyond. Cordoba was the educational center, not of Europe, of the entire world. How do you spell Cordoba? The Latinized form is K-O-C-O-R-D-O-B-A or D-O-B-A. But it's the Q. It's Arabic, it's Q.
One more time.
Yes, C-O-R-D-O-B-A or C-O-R-D-O-B-A. It sounds spelled both. They translate the B and the B. You'll see some authors spell with the B.
Is that time frame again?
Yeah, 700s, 800s, 900s. That was the educational center of the world. Europeans attended Moorish University in Europe. Moors established universities, castles, mosques in Europe. We are the Renaissance of Europe. We are the Protestant movement, meaning that what stimulated the Protestant movement was education, free, open education given by the Moors. And prior to that, Europeans under Roderick rule, Europe was decayed in the Dark Ages. So Moors didn't conquer Europe. That's a lie. They were the Visigoths, one of the 8 of the Moors. Because the Visigoths were suffering under Roderick's rule. Very few public bathhouses. They didn't take baths. Starvation, high level of diseases, high level of illiteracy. But under Moorish rule, Europeans weren't suffering like that. Europeans suffered like that under European rule. Europeans suffered like that under Roderick, the king of the Visigoths. They didn't suffer. Europeans prospered in Europe under Moorish rule. Europeans suffered in Europe under European rule. Said we don't know who we are. That's all. We just recalling this. He brought us on slave ships. We locked into that. During this time period, 1500s, yes, in 1492, we ended the last Moorish stronghold in Europe. We lost control of Europe. We weren't totally defeated. We lost control of Europe, but not the seas. See this? So that's important. That's important. Why? Because that gives you a basis to re-examine the transatlantic slave trade claim with verifiable documentary evidence. So any African scholar challenges me. Challenge me based on this. Let's dance on this and see who wins. See who wins. Let's dance on this. Don't say out of your mouth, I don't know what I'm talking about. That's too easy. You're trying to dismiss this, right? Don't say I don't know what I'm talking about. This is documentary, verifiable evidence. National Archives in France, National Archives in England, National Archives in the Netherlands, National Archives in Spain. This is verifiable, documentary evidence. Letters up in the zoo. They have written extensively. These are documentary primary sources of the discussion of Moors who held Europeans in captivity, the trading, Europeans on slave auctions, Europeans held in Moorish jails, Europeans seized ships being seized by the thousands. This is a major issue. Newspaper articles, European women petitioning the kings and queens of Europe to get their family members out of Moorish captivity. You had the charity boxes placed at the church and churches. That was, see, these orders, you understand history. They were not mere charity orders for the simple charity of the people. They were established to raise money. Their sole purpose of establishment, to raise money to get Europeans out of Moorish captivity. These orders still exist. Of course, they don't have to get Europeans out of Moorish captivity. Why? Because they're out of Moorish captivity already. So they didn't stop existing. They still existed. They still exist. They still charity and stuff. They still do charity. But go to the history. Let's go to the history. Why did that happen? Why did that happen? Why were they established? Why was Trinidad established? Why was the House of Trinity established? Why Mercedarian was established? These orders still exist as charity orders, but why were they established? They were established for the sole purpose, because of you. You are the reason why they were established. To raise money to get Europeans out of Moorish captivity. These night orders that exist, Knights of Malta, Knights Round Table, Knights of White Chameleon, Knights of St. Stephen's, Knights Templar. They were established by the aristocrats, funded by the aristocrats, to fight against the Moors. Then you have the Spanish festival, called the Spanish Festival of Reconquista, that occurred every year. Which commemorates the battles between the Moors and the Europeans, and the Europeans reclaiming of Spain. So the Festival of Reconquista, you are the reason. You are the reason why they have the Festival of Reconquista. You are the reason why they have the Mardi Gras. Mardi Gras, French, for Mars. Hold on to your feathers and turbans. Mars is the planet of war. Right in your face. The planet of war. And it's called the Mardi Gras. And Mardi, is the French word for Mars. Wow. And we go, yeah, I'm going down to the Mardi Gras. Yeah, I can't wait. Yeah, I went down to the Mardi Gras. They're celebrating they're fighting and beating and they're defeating. The Shrine Parade, they're celebrating your defeat. The Mummer Parade, mummer means silent whisper. Murmur means silent whisper. So we are the reason why these festivals exist. So these night orders that our brothers and sisters belong to. And keep in mind that we are the founders of the principles of the night orders. Of the principle of chivalry was developed by us, not Europeans. Once again, Europeans didn't establish anything. This Europeans didn't establish anything. So those principles were established by us. We were also knights with their garb and everything, helmets and all that. And we were fighting. We're talking about 1,100 years of fighting. 1,100 years. And these night orders still exist. They exist as charity orders throughout the world. They still exist. The history of why they were established has been lost in the general public. Very important to understand the history of why they were established. And once we rise up to know who we are, our consciousness will create tremendous fear among Europeans. Because Europeans have been laughing in our face. Europeans have been acting like they're our friends. Europeans have been pressing our hands and that they're our friends. All right? And you come to find out about these night orders that you belong to. And find out, and this is the message I'm going to get across when I go to Chicago next week. I speak to Masons, these stars. Come to find out that they were established to fight against us. You can't change why they were established. You can't change the history of why they were established. So it becomes uncomfortable to Europeans. Your consciousness will make Europeans uncomfortable because they're having these festivals and Mardi Gras and shrine parades. The festival we Conquistad and all the Fae celebrating your defeat. They're defeating us. So now you have 5,000 Moors at this European Shrine Parade. 5,000 Moors at the European Shrine Parade wearing turban and fezes. Trust me, that will make them uncomfortable. Your knowledge of why that parade is going on will make them uncomfortable. Imagine Europeans seeing that many nationalized and conscious Moors with that knowledge of why this parade is going on. You cannot tell me they won't be uncomfortable. They having a parade, mocking your defeat, and they won't be uncomfortable? You kidding me? The reason why they can do this, well, because we're unconscious. That's all. We're unconscious. They're arrogant. Donald Trump is arrogant. Why is Donald Trump arrogant? Because we're unconscious by the millions. He is arrogant. Because we're unconscious by the millions. He's trying to position that the Europeans can maintain their stronghold of colonization of our land. I see what's going on. And we're caught up with this race thing. Donald Trump's a racist. Donald Trump's a racist. We don't call Donald Trump a colonists. That they call him American. See? Donald Trump's a racist. Trying to prove how he racist he is. Trying to prove we don't, Al Sharpton in them. Trying to prove that Donald Trump's a racist. Maxine Waters. Donald Trump's a racist. They trying to prove he's a racist. He's different. We are caught with a paradigm that they created. Maxine Waters, Al Sharpton, they created their race paradigm. How you going to beat them at a game that they created to steal your birthright? Carl Linnaeus, Francois Bernard, Johann Friedrich Bumbach, Charles Darwin in the 1800s. They used 4 classifications to classify the human family based on hair texture, skin tone, brain size, and phenotype. They used that paradigm to steal our birthright. Al Sharpton is only one race. Maxine Waters is only one race. The Leakeys, over 25 years ago, this was published in Time magazine. They discovered a skeletal being whom they call Lucy, which means light. Light of the world, light. And they, doing the biological research, they discovered that everyone's living today, and even at that time, and even today, mitochondria can be traced back to Lucy. So this whole race paradigm is political, not biological. Won't we? Maxine Waters, Al Sharpton, former colonists. Donald Trump's a colonist. What's wrong with saying that? Huh? He's a colonist. What do we call it? This race? He's a racist. He's a colonist. He's not an American. As an American, is native to the land. An American doesn't mean United States citizen. There's no statute, there's no official document that you can bring to me. There's no official letterhead that you can bring to me. I gotta write it down because I know people ain't gonna get it. If I don't write it, I'm trusting they're not going to get it. I just can't say it. I just can't say it. Because I've done it. Trust me. I've tried to save the people. And I'm going to say it first. All right, let me say it first. And then I'll tell you my responses I got from people by saying it. There's no official letterhead or seal that reads American Senate, American Congress, American Navy. This is the response I got. This is the response I get. By saying it, that's why I have to write it. Yes, there is. Yes, there is. Yeah, United States Navy. That's why I have to write it. Brother, I'm not. Nah. See, I'm doing this, I'm testing, I'm like, all right, wow, it's deep. This is deep. Superimposed. I said that there's no official statute, there's no official letterhead or seal that reads American Senate. And they say, yes, there is. Well, show me. Oh, United States Senate. Hold on. American Senate, United States Senate. The American Senate. No, so does it read American Senate? Does it read this? I'm about to say I have to write it. Does it read this? American Senate. Just like that. Let's read that. Just like that. American Senate. No, they reach United States Senate, but not American Senate. They don't use American officially, only in public addresses. And this is what I show in my American United States citizen book, American, question mark, American or United States citizen? American or United States citizen? What do you mean, Abdul? They mean the same thing. American or United States citizen, they mean the same thing. See? It's strong. Because it's over and over again. They're bombarded all their lives. They interchange, and this is worldwide now. You go anywhere in the world. You say, well, yeah, I'm a United States citizen. Go to China. We're in China right now. Yeah, I'm a United States citizen. He's American. Huh? He's an American. I never said that. He's a United States citizen. See? So how through social engineering, how the Europeans got the whole world calling them Americans? Through social engineering, how the Europeans got the whole world calling them America? Our brothers and sisters in Jamaica, they will say, yeah, I left Jamaica to come to America. I left Jamaica to come to America. Excuse me, my maroon brother. Excuse me, my maroon brother. Jamaica is an American state. There's an organization called the Organization of American States. That's a fact, Jack. And Jamaica is a member state of the Organization of American States. Now, you want to recant that? You want to recant that? You're telling me that Jamaica is not an American state. I'm showing you that it is. I'm showing you an official international organization whose headquarters is in D.C. And the name of the organization is called Organization of American States, and Google member states. Jamaica is a member state of the Organization of American States. Is Jamaica an American state? Yes, it is. Haiti. Is Haiti an American state? Yes, it is. Or yes, she is. So these are points, solid points of references. All right? So re-examining the transatlantic slave trade in the context of Moorish sea power during the 15, 16, and 1700s. Let me read on. William Dalrymple writes in his book, White Mongols, Love and Betrayal in 18th Century India, at least 2,000 British civilians were enslaved in the Moroccan Sultanate. At least 20,000. 20,000 British civilians. Abdullah, this is from your own perspective. No, it's not. I didn't write this book. That's William Dalrymple. In his book, White Mongols, he writes and shows that documented evidence. Europeans write this. Europeans have written extensively on this. Once again, at least 20,000 British civilians were enslaved in the Moroccan Sultanate. Linda Cowley, he writes about Cowley. Linda Cowley is currently a professor, history professor of Princeton University. She was in the 70s a history professor. She had taught at Yale. While at Yale, her male co-workers, colleagues, when she wrote the book British Empire, and in the book British Empire, she documents in 1634 England being defeated by the Moors, and 10,000 British were held in captivity. And she writes this in her book, British Empire. Don't you know she was under attack by European colonies? European male colonies. No, this is serious. This ain't no joke. I mean, this is serious. You are attacking their European colonial rule of our land. With truth. We ain't doing the Al Sharpton. We're not doing a Louis Farrakhan. We're not doing a Maxine Waters. You're talking about truth. You're talking about they're being enslaved by us. That attacks their power base. Because they can't have you thinking that way. They got to have you thinking that slave trade. They can't have you thinking this. More sea power. Because that what? Unravels this whole slave trade. The slave trade claim is the whole basis. That is the basis of their false claim here. That is the number one. That's why I'm spending so much time in my writings and addressing it. This is major. But I'm laying a foundation, a solid, documentary, verifiable foundation. So any African scholar challenges me, which I'm happy to debate them intellectually, no problem. Anyone, I don't care who they are. I would want them to address these issues. Let's debate on this. I don't want to talk about that. Means nothing. Let's debate on this. This is documentary. This is National Archives and European archives. These are primary sources. Letters between the emperors of Morocco and the kings and queens of Europe from the 15, 16, 1700s. His issue is that these African scholars aren't addressing this. 1,100 years of buried history, 711 to 1492. And when they do talk about, as Edward Scobie, when he writes about Africans in Europe, Edward Scobie does not write about Moorish rule in Europe. Edward Scobie writes about Moors who were once slaves in Europe and now rose to be artists, rose to be painters and, married into the aristocrat family. And so he still writes about that we were subservient to the Europeans and that the Europeans accepted us. He's not writing about the Moorish Empire in Europe and that we accepted the Europeans. That we taught the Europeans. Edward Scobie doesn't write that like that. Nor does J. Rogers. And that's one of my favorites. J. Rogers, still like Edward Scobie, writes, Europeans accepting us. And, we did these wonderful things in Europe, Europeans accepting us. No, J. Rogers. No, Edward Scobie. There were 4 Moorish dynasties that ruled Europe for 800 years. We ruled Portugal for 500 years, Sicily for 400. We set up universities, bookstores, irrigation, surgeons. We had Moorish dynasties. We talk about rulership. We brought Europeans out of the Dark Ages. They didn't bring us in. This whole, that we were slaves, and now the Europeans accepted us into the aristocrats, and they accepted us. No. That's the form from the mind. It's always coming from they're accepting us. It's the other way around. So I don't get why these African scholars, major history here. Is it an oversight? They don't know about it, which doesn't qualify them then? How will they qualify them then? You're saying they're historians. Well, are they qualified? I mean, to admit that they don't know this, you're admitting a lot. You're admitting that you're not qualified to be a historian. I mean, let's keep it real. We're talking about major history here. World history. The Moors controlled the world. And they don't know about this at all? That Moors were enslaved Europeans like the tens of thousands. Europeans don't know, African scholars don't know about this. Moors and seized European ships. European nations were paying Morocco annual tribute to pass the high seas. They don't know about this? These are major points. So I would like to have these African scholars debate me on this. On this. Not, I don't know what I'm talking about. That whole, where you go to school at. The whole, all right, I know the game. Debate me on this. These are major points. All right, continue. William Dalrymple writes, Cowley, Linda Cowley, shows the extent to which tales of British weakness and defeat at the hands of sophisticated Muslim states in North Africa, the Middle East, and India have been consciously edited out of the historical record. Islam overcame the English as much by its sophistication and power of attraction as by its power to siege and enslave. So this history has been edited out. And this is why Linda Cowley, when she was at Yale, was under attack. Because you're talking about 1,100 years of history that were conspiracially edited out. Meaning that though there are Europeans who have written extensively on this for decades, it's not part of the mainstream history. Why not? Why don't they know about the debates that went on in the state delegates? Michael Oren writes about it. Michael Oren, who is the Israeli ambassador to the United States, who went to Columbia University. Right, look it up, Michael Oren, O-R-A-N. He goes back to Columbia University as a speaker. He dazzles his professors, the ones who taught him. He's mesmerizing his professors, the one who taught him about this history of Moors, this debate, this extensive debate that went on into the various state delegates, among the various state delegates, of whether to pay the Moors and to continue to pay us tribute or to split the money up for defense. The students were mesmerized because he spoke to the student body. Michael Oren, this is a credible source. He is a graduate of Columbia University, and he is the current Israeli ambassador to the United States. I can't remember the title of his book, but Google Michael Oren. I'll come up with credible sources, y'all. I ain't talking about my ass. Oh no, I ain't standing up here talking about my ass. I'm ready for any debate against any African scholar. Just bring them on. can't debate me on this. Know what they want to. Because then they have to talk this then. They have to talk this. And not this slave trade. Now, the question I want you to think about is, could the Europeans have transported us even by 3 million, 4 million, 5 million? Could the Europeans, could the Spanish, the Portuguese, the French, the Dutch, and the English, could they have transported us from the continent of Africa to North America, Central America, South America, and the adjoining islands when the Moors controlled the seas? To do that, you first have to control the seas. Now, first control the seas. All right. What I prove in this book, Moors and Masonry, is that we, the Moors, controlled the seas during the 15, 16, 1700s. I'm laying that clear foundation. These are points to show that we control the seas. First. So this is the false concept that the Portuguese in the late 1400s, when Moors controlled, we ruled Portugal for 500 years. So the Portuguese learned navigation from whom? Who did the Portuguese learn navigation from? Moors. All right. So that the Portuguese, back and forth, early 1500s. Spanish, back and forth. Let's stop that. Oh, they were seized by Moors. How could it happen? See, they wiped this out. They wiped this out and got you thinking that I'm molested back and forth for 300 years. 300 years. Back and forth. Africa to North America, Central America, South America. Africa to North America, Central, South America. Back and forth. When I'm showing you the documentary, verifiable documentary evidence that did not happen. Come on, African scholars. Prove to me that I don't know what I'm talking about. That did not happen. We were seizing their ships by the thousands. We held them by the tens of thousands in captivity. They were paying us annual tribute. Just hear me out. If they were in such this power, why were they paying us annual tribute to pass the high seas? Listen, when I came across these treaties, Consolidated Treaty Series in 1998, and I'm looking at this, I'm like, oh my God, man, they were paying us annual tribute. I started, oh fuck, man, they couldn't have bought us. This says a lot right here. They're paying us annual tribute to pass the high seas without being molested by us. No tribute, seizing the ships. What does that mean to you, y'all? What does that mean to you? Power and control. Do you see why they ended it out? Because we think about yourself differently in relationship to them during this time period. We think of ourselves as their, connotatively speaking, their slaves. They got the African American Museum in Washington, D.C. We think about ourselves as they're slaves. They're my ancestors' slaves. They brought us over in hell and ownership. That evil, wicked son of a, you know what, European white man, the devil. He's so evil. They got us covered and going, let me get a man. They what? X this out. So you don't even know your power in relationship to them. And what were they debating in the House of the Continental Congress and also the delegates on whether to maintain the European customary practice in 1770s, early 1780s. At that time, you're looking at 200 years. Now you're at 1600 to that time, you're looking at almost 200 years now. Later, 200 years later, that they were debating a long-standing practice, European practice, of paying the Moors annual tribute. And Thomas Jefferson stood up. He put his foot in the sand and said, we, as he was Secretary of Foreign Affairs under George Washington administration, George Washington wanted to maintain the long-standing annual practice of paying the Moors annual tribute. Thomas Jefferson wanted to put the money to defense. Where's this out in textbooks? I don't know what I'm talking about. Retired General Knox. Congress appropriated $10,000 for retired Admiral Knox to compile letters. And this is 6 volumes. Every 6 volumes. Let me get this. I don't know what I'm talking about. And guess what? I'm not even reading that. I have my former co-workers who are history teachers who bought my book and invited me to speak at their 3 history teachers that I work with. One now teaches at Rutgers University. He invited me to his class. This gives respect. When they looked at it, they were highly impressed because they saw the references. They pride themselves on that. They flipped through the book and saw references. They take me seriously. I did most of my adult life. When they have sources, not 1, 2, 3, 100 of them.
Go.
Yes.
You said George Washington wanted to keep the relationship.
Yes, he wanted to maintain the long-standing practice of European customary practice of paying us annual tribute. Yes.
Can you relate that to the letter that he wrote?
Yes. All right. The letter. George Washington writes Muhammad ibn Abdullah, Emperor of Morocco, from 1757 to 1791. When he transitioned. Emperor Morocco from 1757 to 1791. On December 1st, 1789, he writes, thanking the Sultan for honoring the Treaty of Peace and Friendship. Let me backtrack. Muhammad ibn Abdullah recognized the United States in 1777. Samuel Huntington, who was president of the Continental Congress in 1780, writes a letter that he received a letter from a representative, a consul, C-O-N, SUL, Council of Unrepresented Nations, working on the behalf of Muhammad ibn Abdullah. And that Council on Unrepresented Nations were negotiating on behalf of His Imperial Majesty for the United States, for Muhammad ibn Abdullah to open his ports to the United States. All right, so we got it. I'm putting it in because when I read that letter for the first time in 1993, I read it several times, and I looked at it and said, "What happened before this?" That's how my mind thinks. Because that's just a letter. I mean, what led up to this letter? And so I wanted to put that letter led to this book. That one letter led to this book. Because what I wanted to do was put the letter in a broader historical context. And I'm doing more research and going to the National Archives in 1999 and 4 or 5 straight months. And I'm coming to more letters and more letters. I'm like, oh my goodness. Came across the Consolidated Treaty Series in 1998. I'm like, oh my goodness. And I started seeing a letter in a much broader context. And to find out in the Consolidated Treaty Series by Clyde Perry, edited by Clyde Perry, compiled these treaties about these tributes, these annual tributes. Like, man, that's what George Washington them to talk about this tribute. So I started connecting this. And that's how they happened, y'all. I mean, it just took, years of reading and studying and making connections and understanding, and that's how it happened. All right? So George Washington, he thanks the Sultan, he apologizes for not keeping up a regular correspondence. He thanks the Sultan for honoring the Treaty of Peace and Friendship, even in the face of Moorish regencies disagreeing with it. So this Treaty of Peace and Friendship was a monumental task, not for us, for Europeans. In 1784, Thomas Jefferson, Ben Franklin, and John Adams was appointed ministers plenipotentiary to negotiate the Treaty of Peace and Friendship. 1784. That Treaty of Peace and Friendship was finally signed in 1786, in June 1786, by our Sultan, and ratified by the United States in January 1st, 1787. This is going to be in the children's book. I'm writing a series of children's book. It'll be in the children's book. All right? Mm-hmm. In the children's book, she already got the artwork done in a 2-week period. All right. One of the pictures, she has a ship. Big ship in the background, and France, written on the ship, and French painting a bag of gold and silver, handing a bag of gold and silver over to Emperor, all right, Morocco. Then Netherlands, another big ship in the background. So when I write that, this customary practice, France was paying annual tribute to Morocco high seas, right? So it just be, it won't be a whole lot of writing, but it'll be explaining the pictures. Right. So so what I done was place that letter in a much broader context, because this was an ongoing practice. See, what our problem, and I recognize this, is that we keep starting with 1777, 1774. We can't start there. There's a connection here. There's a connection. The treaties between England and Morocco protected the English colonial ships and sailors and merchants. See the point? You see where I'm going? See how I'm making this connection here? We just can't start with United States. You just can't start with 1774. As if the history started in 1774. Now you're talking about an ongoing history. 1711 to 1492. There's a book titled, I'm just making the connection so that we can't start with 1774. The Discovery of America is the title of the book. The Discovery of America, the discovery of America, an outgrowth of the conquest of the Moors.
The what?
The outgrowth of the conquest of the Moors. So they see that relationship there? That's revealing. The title alone. That's the title alone. The title alone gets you what? Put you in the frame of mind of our connection. That they conquest of the Moors, hence the discovery of America. So, who's in Moors? You see why? Pulitzer. He put that book title, he marketed that book in his first edition of his newspaper. Pulitzer Prize, he had a newspaper. He advertised that book in his first issue of the newspaper. This information has been edited out. So people who say, I don't know what I'm talking about, they only coming from, of course, their favorite reference. Fine. It's easier for me to have dialogue with teachers, history teachers. I've had dialogue with brothers at Black and Nobel about my book. Tempting to get them to see documentary evidence. But their emotion keeps getting in the way. You know, I show them pictures, this picture here. Their emotion keeps getting in the way. We didn't do that. We didn't enslave no white man. Even in the face of evidence. Even in the face of documentary evidence. We didn't enslave no white man. No, they're saying their point is that beings, they're evil. Right. They did all this. They enslaved them, we enslaved them, we didn't seize their ships. This is documentary evidence. Here I am quoting sources, naming the sources to them. That still don't work. They call it the emotion. Yes.
Question, point of clarification.
Please do.
In reference to when the Europeans came here, say Christopher Columbus. Point of clarification, that's how I want to check. Can you hear me? Mm-hmm. So, point of clarification, when the Europeans came over here, and in this, you explained this right here, but most history is taught that the Indians were here, but the name of the Indians were actual Moors, correct? Before Columbus came here.
You came in late, brother.
Okay.
I started off with that.
Okay.
When I started off with it's showing what the quote-unquote Indians look like. Wow. Because of European social engineering, let's do a quick review to address your question.
Thank you.
Because of European social engineering, our people think the Indians look like this. Native people. Right. And the native people, the indigenous people look like this. All right? When in fact they look like this. These are drawings, even some photos of what the people who live on reservations. All right? You have this here. This is a drawing of an actual photo. This is a drawing of the actual. All right? So it's not just a figment of somebody's imagination. This is called the collection called the San Lorenzo Stoneheads. A collection of these. A large collection. in museums in South America. Large collection. And they even have another collection. All right, stoneheads. Do they look like the people on reservations? Do they look like the ones that your children, and European children and our children, next month, will not see pictures like this next month on commercials, in schools, Pilgrim and Indian scenes. Next month, our children will not see pictures like this. Next month, our children and European children will not be hanging pictures like this on the walls outside their classroom. Pre-K, that's what they do. I got to do it. You did that in pre-K, 4, 3, 4, kindergarten, first grade. Yes, they did. They have those coloring pictures and stuff, right? And they hang around outside their classroom. Yes, they do. All over the country. European too. And they don't hang no pictures like this outside the classroom. These are actual photos. This is what the Native people look like. I said earlier, Barack Obama signed the Rights of Indigenous People on December 2010. He invited in September 2011, September 2012, September 2013, September 2014, September 2015, all right, September 2016. Members of the American Indian Congress and other quote-unquote Indian organizations to the White House. So even though Barack Obama signed the Rights of Indigenous People, the indigenous people are not benefiting. Millions of the indigenous people live in inner cities. Millions of the indigenous people, native people, aboriginal people live in inner cities. What's the problem, Abdullah? What's the problem, Abdullah? I'm glad you asked. They don't know they're indigenous. They don't know that they're native. So even though Barack Obama signed the Rights of Indigenous People, the indigenous people aren't even benefiting. 2011, 12, 13, 14, 15, and 16, Barack Obama had them on reservations, at the White House. So the issue of the indigenous people, even though documents are being signed, the American Declaration of the Rights of the Indigenous People, adopted in June of last year. So even though the American Declaration of the Rights of Indigenous People, right, signed by the Organization of American States, recognized, the indigenous people aren't being recognized. Those on reservations are being recognized. Those on reservations are being identified as indigenous people. Those in inner cities that look like me and us are not being recognized as indigenous people. Come on, Barack Obama. Once again, with Duke, they had the Doss rolls. Senator Doss. Europeans called $5 Indians paid $5 to get their name on the Doss rolls. Once again, we're duped. The indigenous people are not being recognized. And I don't want to hear that they're unconscious. Help us, make us unconscious, make us conscious, Barack Obama and them. Make us conscious. Help us, make us conscious. Help us. They're taking advantage of our unconsciousness. The Doss rules, right to the indigenous people, and invite these people from the reservations to the White House year after year after year after year. They're taking advantage of our unconsciousness. They promote it and take advantage of it. some bull crap, like we don't go to school. We go to school. We go to school. Well, this can't be taught in schools. We go to school. How do we learn? How do we know what we know? In the schools. How do we know what we know now? Where do we learn it from? In the schools. Right? In the schools. So we do go to school. So they what? Taking advantage of us. They promote the miseducation. The African American Museum. We didn't fund that. Well, yes, we do the taxes. But that's what's funded. Because that's part of the budget. The Smithsonian Institute, Smithsonian Museum, part of the Smithsonian Museum, they have a budget. So yes, we're part of that funding of that through the taxes. They extract us, taxes from the indigenous people. But once again, we're duped. Over 1 million of our brothers and sisters haven't visited that since September of last year. All right, go ahead, brother.
I believe you know, but I want to ask this question. With your background in etymology,
Yes.
Which is the origin and study of the words and where it came from, the meanings of them, could you tell me, is there a relationship between Moors and Hebrews or Jews? Is there a relationship between those?
All right. Do me a favor. Did y'all take a picture of this already? Oh, there you go. You take a picture with your camera already. Oh, this.
I did.
All right. I'm gonna take a picture of this before I. So you don't have to write it down. Just take a picture of it. You come up and take a picture.
I have a question too.
No, this outline is not. I actually came up with this outline about when I was doing the class in at New York to make this, digestible. I came up with this outline. I didn't have this. This is not in the book. This will be in part 2. But this is not in this outline. The way this is not in this book. So the issues of this outline are addressed in the book. But this outline itself is not in the book. But all the points that are on this outline here, are addressed in this book, Moors and Masonry. All right? I'll show documentary evidence for each point.
Do you have any of those books with you right now?
Yes.
I'd like to get one.
All right. Here. You give it so I'm gonna sign it now. You about to leave, right? Yes. All right. Give me a pen. I just need a pen.
There you go.
Just gotta get pen real quick. Thank you. All right, two.
Tim and Vincent.
Oh, that's right. Tim and Vincent?
Yes, my son.
Oh, yeah, remember, I got you last time. All right, thank you. Yeah. Those, it's 50. Can you send it to my PayPal? Oh, you are cautious on it. All right. I just signed it. Sorry. All right, no problem. Maybe we'll get it signed from here. So make you not get it signed right here. So, appreciate it. Thank you. All right. So, Question, you have a question?
Yes, sir. This history that our children are definitely not going to get in school, is there anybody,
Nor the European children.
is there anybody in government, you know, especially coming from the Moorish perspective, introducing it to government for our children and for our people to get, as you know of?
No. You gotta keep in mind though, because this history will empower us. Tremendously empower us. Because once we know who we are, we can now challenge the Europeans' false claims. Europeans are making false claims that they're Americans, just publicly. They're making false claims that this is their country, that they are the founders, all right? And that's what that does. It will even open the door, because once we come back into power, we can distribute finance to Haiti, Jamaica. See, all right, follow me, bro. Gotta understand how let's look at it on a broader scale, bro. Europeans have been using our resources for other Europeans. In the early 1900s, Europeans structured, all right, in 1790, I'm putting this, 1790, Naturalization Act. The Europeans classified themselves as free white persons. In the 1790 Naturalization Act, those commonly counted as European races. But this was there are Supreme Court cases that denied citizenship to Japanese and Chinese because they were not under the title free white person. They used that 1790 Naturalization Act to give privileges to Europeans, and they opened the door for European immigration in the early 1900s. Europeans have been using our wealth for the benefit of other Europeans. Let's look at the early 1900s. Russians and Portuguese, Polish and Ukrainians and so forth, but actually flooded to our land. They have used our resources for the benefit of other Europeans. What will we start doing when we come back to power? What do you think we'll do?
Use it for ours.
Oh.
They're not gonna teach us that, man.
Bro, you gotta understand what's at stake here. You're talking about a shift in world power economics. This is serious. Serious. We have a lot of work to do, but I'm gonna work until I have my dying breath.
You have any more?
What's that?
I'm sorry, you have any more?
Yes, I do.
Can I get one, please?
Yes. I'm gonna work until my dying breath, bro.
Save one for me.
Work until my dying breath.
How much is it, brother?
50.
Okay.
You about to leave too?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, so I need to do this now.
Please, sir.
Two,
Brother Bovell.
brother, B,
And that's B-O-V as in vase, B as in boy, O as in ostrich, V as in vanilla, E as in everything, and two L's as in love.
all right.
I just said it, that was it.
Mm-hmm. All right.
I really don't want to leave, but my nurse is coming. When do y'all meet, brother? This is my first time.
This is what, the first, second, and third,
First, second, third,
and fourth.
Fourth Friday, every Friday, except fifth Fridays.
Yes.
Okay. First, second.
Every Friday except the fifth.
All right, just come up here.
I
He
can't.
can't.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah,
I apologize, brother.
Thank you
I
so much, sir.
apologize. Thank you. I didn't, yeah.
I know you didn't.
Yes, thank you. Yes, so,
No, thank you.
any other questions? All right.
Yes. Read. I'll come back after that read.
All right. No, and that's good, because then you have you have a basis for discussion,
Yes, sir.
right, and further
That's
questions.
very important.
Yes, yes.
Brother.
What's the mic? The other mic. Get to the other mic, please.
I can just say it loudly.
I don't fight to it, you need the mic, because it's live.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Brother Abdullah, you said that they made a false claim, that they always make false claims
Yes.
in order to usurp
Yeah,
authority
you
over
usurp
us.
authority over us.
In speaking in a personal situation, a judge in traffic court wasn't, he wasn't hearing what I had to say, even though I presented my papers ahead of time to the special invitation.
Deprivation of rights
Yes, sir.
under color of law.
Yes. And he made the false claim that I was subject to the codes of the motor vehicles traffic.
Right, there was no jury, or pettit jury, no pettit jury there. Was he a judge on the oath? He has oath of office. Was there an indictment? Were you actually charged? What was the charge?
Yeah.
Is that a court? Is that a proper court that has been given authority?
Delegation of authority?
Yes.
No.
Is that court constitutionally sanctioned?
No.
So no pettit jury. All right. So they depriving your rights under color law. So you were what? Stopped? Unlawfully stopped?
Right.
All right. So what's the probable cause?
There was none.
So there's no probable cause. So there you go, right there. That's deprivation of rights there. That's one point of deprivation of rights. No probable cause. All right. Was your vehicle searched without a warrant, without probable cause and a warrant?
Not at that time.
All right. So
It has in the past, but not.
All right.
in
So
that particular
in the past, was your vehicle searched with probable cause and a warrant?
No.
All right. So that's one. So there's no probable cause and no warrant to search your vehicle. So that's deprivation of rights under color of law.
In the courtroom, the judge said that I was subject because I was a U.S. citizen and a state resident.
All right, so the Constitution protects your rights from things. You have a right. So if there's an issue, so we're looking at due process here, because there's a denial of due process. One, no indictment. First, is that a constitutional court? Is that natural person a judge clothed with constitutional authority?
If he took an oath?
Yeah, is there constitutional authority to hear the case? Was there a pettit jury? No pettit jury? All right? So there's a violation there. So no probable cause. So now you have a lawsuit, Title 18, which is crimes. You also have deprivation of rights under color of law, 1983, 42 U.S.C. 1983, deprivation of rights under color of law. You also have Title 18. Because you've already been deprived of your rights under color of law. Because the issue there is to take your property without probable cause. All right? Any other questions?
Could you address the question about the Moors and the Moors Jews?
All right. Oh, yes.
It's on the chair.
Yes. All right. I'll just keep that up here. Moors, Jews, and you say Hebrews, right?
Yes.
All right. Now, Hebrew. So let's go after BP. Peru, Eber, Hebrew. All right. So the H is added. Now, but as far as the language is concerned, it's Chaldean. Hebrew is made up, all right? The Hebrew language, the quote-unquote Hebrew language is actually Chaldean. It's Chaldean language. It's not Hebrew, it's Chaldean. The Chaldean language, Chaldean is based off a bilateral, 2 letters, root system. What they did was from a bilateral to triconsonantal or trilateral. So they simply added a letter, but the base of it is Chaldean. This is stealing. To call this that is stealing. To call Chaldean Hebrew, that's what they're doing. They're calling Chaldean Hebrew. It's not Hebrew. It's Chaldean. And so they transliterated the names, the Chaldean names, all right, and created a new language stock from the Chaldean, and they call it Hebrew. That's birthright there. All right? It's birthright there. So now let's address the issue of Jew, the word. Let's first deal with the word. Right, so this is a title that belongs. This is your title. Right? Jew comes from Dawuti. This is your title. And it's nothing to do. It's not a race, ethnicity of any people. So Dawuti or Tahuti, and then they have Hermes. All right. Mercury, Thoth, all right? Communication, all right? Intuition, mental development. Not a title, it's not a race, it's not a nationality, it's not a race, it's not an ethnicity. It's an ancient title for one who becomes enlightened, one whose pineal gland is stimulated. Intuition, mental development, communication, nor even use Mercury as the planet of communication. So they're maintaining the culture. Once again, Europeans have not developed anything. They have maintained the culture. They simply transliterated names out of their original so that it wouldn't you wouldn't have to make a connection. Like there's something so as to appear that they made it up, as it appeared that it came from them. That's why this is Greek or this is German, so as to make it appear that it came from them. That's why they transliterated out of the original. So we call these Europeans, Germans, Jews, as if that's their ethnicity, race. We're also calling them Aryans. Since you didn't ask that, but since
and then the next question would be Yahweh or Yahshua. Does that come out of that?
I'm gonna break that down too.
All right, thank you.
All right. Aryan is Sanskrit, the word. All right. Sanskrit. First. Now,
Aaron Sanskrit.
how does this apply to Europeans? The word is Sanskrit. That's the word. The word is Sanskrit. The Sanskrit word. It's a Sanskrit word. And guess what it means? Noble.
Aryan means noble.
Yes, it does, man. What they did was perverted it.
Wow, flipped it.
And they got these skinheads. The Aryan nation. Ooh. Ooh. The Aryan nation. That's funny. Brother, they're good for that. I was saying to Dr. Nailah, the Europeans didn't create anything. They distorted it. So you are the Aryan noble. What Hitler did, he studied under Tibetan monks. He invited Tibetan monks to Germany. He used the swastika, and swastika, both directions are yours. Regeneration. He used it in the direction that you see it's called rebirth. Rebirth. See that concept of death? The way the Europeans have taught us, the way the Europeans presented, that's not how we taught. We didn't teach the concept of death like that. That way is taught today, the eschatology, she's familiar with that. The eschatology that's taught today in theology schools is based off of hermeneutics, which is biblical interpretation. Hermeneutics, they're using German hermeneutics in theology schools. 3 German developed the modern theory of hermeneutics that's used in all these theology schools. And that's biblical interpretation. So that what they don't use in hermeneutics is epistemology. Epistemology, give me some foundation here. Epistemology is the study of knowledge. It's a branch of philosophy that deals with the study of knowledge, how one knows, study of knowledge, epistemology. I want y'all to Google PDF, Google epistemology books, PDF books, epistemology PDF books. You'll get textbooks, 500 pages, 400 pages. And this so that you can be familiar with the subject matter that's addressed in epistemology. This is teaching how to think. How to think. Why is the sky blue? Why is the sky blue? Because it looks blue. No, that's not. So it teaches how to think, how to analyze. All right? Then you have
How do you spell it? I'm sorry.
Epistemology, epistemology. Then you have philology. Linguistics was under philology. Philology, study of, means law. This is law, study of law, all right? But this is philology to do with study of language. All right? And they have what's called linguistics. All right? Linguistics. We have orthography. Orthography is spelled O-R-T-H-O-G-R-A-P-H-Y. You have semantics. Now we're talking about biblical interpretation now. The biblical hermeneutics was not taught. Was not taught as part of hermeneutics. Was not taught. Philology, because if you're talking language, today we're going to learn biblical interpretation, hermeneutics. It's talking about language. Comparative method, which is part of, what you learn, where you're comparing two languages or a family of languages. All right? Linguistics will be grammar, syntax. All right? As well. Orthography, philology.
That's linguistics?
Linguistics. That's G. Yeah, linguistics. Are they using Egyptian hermeneutics in the theology schools? They're using Egyptian hermeneutics. What's the basis of the hermeneutics? I mean, we study, hermeneutics. Biblical interpretation. So what's the basis of the study? What's the basis of the theories? I mean, you're studying a way of how to read it. All right? Who developed this way of how to read it? Who developed the way of how to interpret the Bible? What system? What is the basis of that system? I mean, Dr. King took a class with Professor Pritchett. When Dr. King was in theology school, he took a class on the Sumerian origin of the Bible. And he said that Dr. Pritchett was his favorite professor. Dr. Pritchett mentioned that he would have Dr. King watch his children when he was a student at the Kaiser Seminary School. And he took a course, and I'll make a copy next time for you, of Dr. King's paper. Dr. King's paper when he was in that class, all right? And he wrote a great paper on the Sumerian origin of the Bible. But yet Dr. King never talked about that across the pulpit. And Lil, Enki, and Gilgamesh. He never talked about that. So my point is, what hermeneutics are they using? Are they using Sumerian hermeneutics? Sumerian hermeneutics? Are they interpreting the Bible based off the Sumerian text? What hermeneutics are they using? Eschatology. Talib. That's code Talib. That's spelled right? That's code
ESCHAT. Yeah. TOLOG.
Yeah. Eschatology. All right, so these, but what theory and eschatology are they using?
That's TOLO. ESCHA TOLOGY.
Oh, TOLOGY, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's a T there somewhere.
No. Well, tology. To there.
That's eschatology. Yes. So these are not taught of. Did you study this, Dr. Nailah, in theology school? These branches of studies.
Yes, not all of them. Didn't have orthography, semantics, eschatology, that. Right. Hermeneutics, of course.
Well,
everybody gets
it.
Apologetics.
Apologetics.
Yes.
See, but let's see, and studying hermeneutics, what are some of the principles in which you learned?
Well, with interpretation of the Bible. I mean, basically,
what was the basis of the interpretation? What principles? What were the principles? What were the guiding principles of your interpretation?
That the Bible is the inerrant. First of all, that the Bible was an inerrant word of God. So you're kind of, stuck in a place there when you run into things that just don't make sense. If it's supposed to be inerrant and something that you don't question. Though I question a lot of things, but when you start from that place, it's telling you every word you're about to read in here is true. Now, while it may, that's a place that puts you at a disadvantage.
Did you learn any other languages? You were just coming from English?
We had English. Greek. It was some Greek.
Greek?
Yeah.
All right. Any other questions?
There's a question online. It has online question. Doesn't have to do with the Bible, but it says in your book, it says you go over the connection with England and Morocco. And the question is, could you go over the connection with the treaty with England and Morocco that will connect the England Charter to set up colonies in America/Morocco?
Read that again, please.
Okay. It says, can you go over the connection with the treaty with England and Morocco that will connect the England Charter to set up colonies in America/Morocco?
All right. The treaties between Morocco and England does not. The issue of setting up colonies is not part of the charter. I mean the treaties. The issue that's addressed in the treaties. The issue that's addressed in the treaties would be the tribute payment, the release of English captives and Moorish captives, all right? The issue of sailing, the issue of colony setup is not addressed in any of the treaties. I read them all. It's not addressed in any of the treaties. Between England, Morocco and England, England and Algiers, England and Tunis, England and Tripoli. Those issues are not addressed.
That'd be the Constitution.
No, treaty. Treaty.
I'm saying,
no, treaty between Morocco and England. Morocco and England, Algiers and England. Algiers and Tunis, and England. Tripoli in England. Those treaties. Not the treaty, not the Constitution. Treaties.
I was saying, would that be the Constitution setting up what they were saying, a rule?
No, but there's nothing that you have to show me that. You have to show me.
I was asking.
Well, yeah, no. No, absolutely not. The land grants, the private companies. Let me, where's my book here? The Dutch English Company, the Dutch West Indian Company, the Dutch East Indian Company. So let me just what I do know. I just wanted to read something. The Dutch East Indian Company and the Dutch West Indian Company. They were the ones that addressed a major issue of Moorish captivity. All right, so what I can show is the issue of Moorish captivity of Europeans that were addressed by the Dutch West Indian Company and Dutch East Indian Company as a major issue. They petitioned the kings and queens of England to address this issue of Moorish captivity of Europeans. There's no mention about setting up colonies. The major issue between Europeans, powers, and Morocco Empire was tribute treaties, the issue of addressing the Moors seizing their ships, European ships, the issue of ransom payments. All right, they even exchanged Moors with Europeans for the release. It looks like they say captured, like say 500 Moors. They would exchange 500 Moors for 500 Europeans. That went on. These are major issues that were addressed. As far as issues of colony set up between Morocco and England, I had no documentation to show that. Brother, I can only, this is me, brother. I would only talk on things that I can prove. I'm not going to come out of thin air. I will, because you lose credibility that way. Lose credibility. I would only address issues that I can document in the book. It's not in the book. I can show documentation. These are major issues that are addressed. And let me say this. What I'm showing here are people that this is Morocco. That by presenting this tremendous power, and because with these issues that I outline shows how power during the 1600s is to show that Europeans could have not transported us. They didn't have the power. See, as Robert Davis said, the issue of colonization, the issue of European enslavement, does not fit the general theme of European conquest and world colonization. That is central to their scholarship. Why not? They gotta keep us thinking that they had this tremendous power over us. Always, all the time. They got over it now, but not during that time period, brother. And this is what I have to show these African scholars. They keep pushing this African slave trade crap. It says we had no power. African kings and queens sold Africans into Europeans. We controlled the seas. We were seizing European ships. This is indeed Morocco. They did not transport us. When we have archaeological evidence of our ancient presence. Why haven't they shown? Why is it taught in schools? Why do they keep pushing this? Why are they pushing this? Why are they pushing pictures like this in front of us? Why are they pushing pictures like this? Yeah, look at the native people, y'all. Native Americans. Yeah, the Indians. American Indians. Yeah, the indigenous people. Rights of indigenous people. Look there. Yeah. So you ain't native. Nah. You came from Africa. They'll play you if you go to those reservations. They'll play you. They'll play you. They'll play you. They'll play you if you go to the reservations. They'll play you. Oh, go ahead. Go to the reservation. They'll play you. They'll play you. They'll play you. Keep that lie going. All right? Yes.
Who are those who are on the reservations? Who are those peoples that in largely are or on those reservations? And
All right.
was that, and technically the question is, were they sort of, I don't want to say bred, but were they sort of a created race in order to cover up?
Great question. Great question. All right. I said earlier, if you go to older books, Cherokee, Seminole, Blackfoot, and you see older photos, you'll see photos that look like us, dark skin. Cherokee, but I'm not talking about Stoneheads. I'm not talking about Stoneheads. I'm talking about actual photos of actual people, flesh and blood, actual people. Cherokee, Blackfoot, all right, in the 1800s. In the 1800s and early 1900s, it was common practice to interchange Moor and Indian. This was common practice. Let me show you. I'm answering the question. I'm just giving some background. All right. I'm leading up to that. I gotta give you some background. Moor and Indian was commonly interchanged. In the 1800s. You got it. See, this was 1800s, early 1900s. This was commonly interchanged. Moor and Indian. Interchanged. You see common pictures of dark olive Moors. Blackfoot, Cherokee, Seminole. All right? So the question is, what happened? Either now you see these folks. All right? Once again, can somebody please look up DOS, the DOS rules? I need to hear it.
How you spell it?
D-A-W-E-S. D-A-W-E-S, y'all. The DOS rules. Send it to DOS. Send it to DOS. This is part of answering the question. As I said, Europeans paid $5 to have their names placed on the DOS rolls.
DOS scroll.
Yeah, DOS. Send it to DOS. D-A-W-E-S. Send it to DOS. Send it to DOS. It's called the DOS roll. I named after Senator DOS. He was part of he led the legislation. He led the legislation for this. That's why it's called the DOS rolls, because he was the one. His name, he led the legislation. He led the piece of legislation. Right? And once again, I said before, Europeans are using our resources for the benefit of other Europeans. The DOS roll was to benefit Europeans. They paid $5 to get their name on the roll.
The first official world rolls were in 1817.
1817.
There were two.
1870. Read it, brother.
You go.
Give me the mic. Please, I need to read that. Yes. Thank you. 1817. I knew it was 1800s. I didn't. Yes. Actually, before you. The first.
Testing. The first official rolls, that would be DOS rolls, were in 1817, and there were two. The reservation roll and the immigration roll. Reservation roll 1817, a list of those desiring a 640-acre tract in the east and permitted to reside there. The 1817 treaty allowed for a 640-acre life estate per head of household, which upon the death of the grantee or abandonment of the land by the grantee reverted to the state. Microfilm group 7-5. Then it goes into the immigration roll 1817 to 1838. And it states
Part of
Alabama,
answering the question.
Alabama, Tennessee, Georgia, and North Carolina chronologically list of those Cherokee who wish to immigrate contains rolls of immigrants, muster rolls of conducted parties, and lists of immigrants able to immigrate by themselves. These old settlers volunteered to move to Arkansas, and relinquish all rights to lands east of the Mississippi River, microfilm A21. Those who filed to immigrate to Arkansas.
Right? Fail.
Failed. No, it says filed.
Of those who filed.
Right, filed to immigrate to Arkansas County and after 1828 to Oklahoma. Cherokee east of the Mississippi census online here and here, 1835. In 1835, the Cherokee Nation contained almost 22,000 Cherokees and almost 300 whites connected by marriage. And they keep going. Henderson Roads.
Let me stop there, brother.
Wally Road.
I said before, if you look at older pictures, Seminoles, Blackfoots, Nez Perce, they look like us.
Is that cool enough as well?
Yes, they look like us. They didn't look like this. You will not see photos, brother. You're not going to see photos. Older photos that look like this. No. You're going to see older photos that look like people in this room. And that was through a process of years. Now you have this. Yes.
Well, you have a distinct look. You know, the so-called Native Americans have a distinct look. So therefore, there's some specific breeding. Well, I'm going to say breeding, but there. I guess I'm trying to say is, where did they originate? I mean, to me, a lot of them, you know, like a cross between people in Alaska and maybe some of us. But is that maybe more of a mixture, or does that have anything to do with the Trail of Tears when they said that we were both together on this?
That too, but also if you're looking at the Dawes Rolls, where Europeans, you had an influx of Europeans on various parts of the land, and they had the marriage, intermarriage. Now, you mentioned about the Alaskans. If you look at look at older photos, you'll see that they're even darker than what they are today. Yes.
So there's a lot of mixing.
Yeah, do mixing.
Mixing, right?
Do mixing.
Mm-hmm.
If Europeans. Yes.
Peace.
Peace.
I was
Are you
going
gonna get it? Please. Thank you.
Both of my grandparents on my mother's side were natives. My grandfather was Mohawk, darker than you,
I ain't advised.
and my grandmother was Cherokee, lighter than me.
All right.
On their marriage certificate, on their death certificates, they're classified as colored. They never talked about we are colored in the house. They never identified, they never acknowledged it. So how, basically I would have to correct that, like what does it even matter to correct it on paper? But I know that is isn't that a form of,
I mean, you could do an affidavit to be put into the record, into the file.
and following that further, isn't that a way of,
Affidavit identity. Affidavit of identity.
and isn't that a form of having their birthright stolen from them because of their that classification?
Absolutely.
The paperwork,
Yes.
what was put on their paperwork.
So if you want to address it and do an affidavit of identity and have it put in the file.
And then another quick question. One of my brothers is consciously unconscious. He knows a lot of information.
So he knows that
More than what I know. Like I'm playing catch up.
Conscious, unconscious, I don't know what that means.
Okay, he's conscious, but it's like, yeah, and actions as well, like certain things that he's doing, I'm like, bro, like this is not proper or correct. Like this is the way we're supposed to be doing it. It says it right here.
Right.
Well, you see what happened at such and such, they got locked up.
Well, that's just a process to start. I mean, it's just, it's a, yeah, I got you.
But the
It's
point
just
that
a
I'm trying to
process.
make, when I go back to prove like, well, this person got locked up because they didn't do their homework, they didn't do their due diligence. But it's still like, oh, I'm still scared to do it. So how do you?
Time, sister.
Okay.
That's all. He's fine. He's
Okay.
fine. Just continue to give him information. Just keep, give him information, that's all. Tell him what books to read. He buy some books, tell him what books he can get. More information, I mean, give him information.
He said he got locked up, he got locked up.
No, he's not locked up.
I understand. I understand. Trust me, I understand. I understand very well. I understand very well. He'll be fine. All right, there's more information, knowledge. And you can give that to him, right? You talking about this class, website, RB Bay, my website.
He's older than I. Like he's like my elder.
All right.
But the point that I'm trying to make is, it's like he's scared to progress, and I'm like,
but he will with more
teaching
information.
me.
Is what I'm saying. He will. So
Okay.
the information will allow him to progress.
Okay.
Right. That's what I'm saying. And information. That's what's going to do it. But the fact that he is open, because it appears to me that he's, based on what you're telling me, us, that he is open to learning. I mean, he's not like totally, shut down. So that's good. Because he's receptive. But just keep feeding him. I mean, that's a good thing. That he's open is still a good thing. You know what I'm saying? He is receptive though.
Islam. To bunny back on the sister's comment, to get more knowledge, wouldn't I need to know more about the context of the treaties in relation to the Constitution? I mean, these are substantive, primary, definitive, documented sources that I need to build my knowledge and to build my sense of where I come from, where my authority stems from.
All right. So what do you want to know about the treaty?
Well, once I saw in court where a prosecutor was putting down the ancient documents of the treaty, saying, well, that had to do with shipping and authority on the seas. How was that relevant to this case in court?
All right, what's your case, sister?
The case was trafficking.
All right, once again, we got to deny your due process. All right, the fact that you were there because you have a right to travel. So the issue is your right to travel. That's secured by the Constitution. So they're saying that you need what? A driver license? What was the issue what did the ticket read? What was the issue? What is the specific issue at hand?
Speeding.
All right. That's why I need to know that. All right. Now, you have a right to due process. It's called due process. All right? Due process. Right. You said speed. All right. We have, I'm going to issue a declaration of rights under color of law. All you have to do is show 1 point. You only need 1 point when you were violated. You need 1 point when you were violated, when you were denied due process. All right? All right, good. The ticket, let's start there. Was that signed by a judge?
No.
Right. So that's one. Remember, you only need one. You only need one. Signed, so no. Signed by a judge, so no. All right. So whether signed by a judge. Now the one who gave it to you, the one who wrote out the ticket, is that the same one who gave it to you?
Yes.
All right. Was there a jury of your peers, or petty jury, or Europeans, all Europeans?
No.
Was there a jury of all Europeans? We don't even want to say jury of peers now. We don't even know that. Was there a petty jury period? Was there 12 Europeans? Let's say Europeans. So was there 12 Europeans in a box? 6 Asiatics or 6 Europeans? All Europeans in a box. All right. So there's no petty jury. No petty jury. All right. You're being accused of a crime, right? Was there an indictment?
No.
So there are issues that they're attempting to deprive you of your rights, your property, without due process. So the issue is not that you were speeding or not speeding. The issue is that you've been denied due process. These are the issues that you raised. So it's a deprivation of rights. That's a lawsuit that you have on them against them. Because they have to follow certain procedures that's constitutionally sanctioned. They just can't bring you in and then start prosecuting you without these issues being put in place first.
They're saying you committed a crime by speeding, and you can go into court.
That you injured anyone. So there's no corpus delicti. No injured party. So where's the injured party at? There's no injured party. Where's the crime? All right, so they're going to take you through administrative process to extract finance from you, deny you due process, deprivation of rights under criminal law. You have a suit there. So the issue is not speeding. Now the issue is what? Denial of due process, deprivation of rights under criminal law. That's the issue. This is no longer an issue. That's no longer an issue. That you don't make that the issue. You make this the issue. One, it was assigned by a judge. So they what? Hand you a ticket was assigned by a judge. That has no authority. It's an administrative process. Look up on the Black's Law Dictionary. In the Black's Law Dictionary. You're going to the 5th edition. You'll see, look up summons. Must have the seal of the court, signed by a judge. These are issues of due process. In order for that ticket to be valid. So you can argue the whole ticket issue. Because all you need is one point that was assigned by a judge. It has no authority. Yes.
Does that matter if you're a U.S. citizen or
not? You can raise these issues and you classify black people, but they're not going to say, well, you're not a Moor. Brother, they're not going to say that in the court, fam. Okay. Brother, they're not going to tell you that you are not a Moor or you're black. They're not going to, brother, they're not. If a Moor classified as black, bring these issues up, they will win their case. If a Moor classified as black, don't know nothing about history, nothing about nothing. But they know these issues, they will win their case. Because they're not going to bring up the issue of you're black. Brother, you know they're not bringing that up, brother. They're never going to bring that up, brother. Never going to bring that up. Never going to bring that up.
So they won't go in there and tell, they won't be like, well.
No, brother, ain't nobody in the court that's going to bring up the issue that you're black, therefore you have no rights. They're not going to say that out of their mouth.
Or you have a European.
Brother, they're not going to say out of their mouth, brother. Ain't nobody is going to say out of their mouth that you're black, therefore you have no rights. They're not going to say that out of their mouth, brother. Tell me when they're going to say that out of their mouth, brother. Tell me. Tell me when
I'm just,
that they're going to say out of their mouth that you're black, therefore you have no rights. Out of their mouth. That the judge is going to, the magistrate is going to stay on the bench, out of his mouth, saying, you're black, therefore you have no rights. No, they're not going to say that. Yes.
Someone online is asking if you can post traffic case numbers that have been won using that approach.
stare decisive. Google stare decisive.
Yes, there's decisive cases.
Stare decisive cases stating that speeding is not a crime. Driving.
Yes, because stare is because decisive is standing decisions. Let's stand
By the Supreme Court.
Yes. Is that decisive? Let's spell correctly.
Becissis. Becissis.
All right, let's spell it right. Becissis.
Isn't it a violation when a judge says to you, or whatever?
What you think is a magistrate, because they're not judges. It's an administrative process.
Correct. I was stating that I wasn't, because he said, oh, we're not going to start the sovereign citizen stuff, and I was like, I'm not a sovereign citizen. He said, well, whatever you are. Isn't that?
All right, let me start.
Violation?
Yes, that's discrimination. That's discrimination right there. All right. They have, sister, and I have one that's in the county of one of the counties in California. They have where they define a sovereign citizen as a domestic terrorist.
Oh.
So you never claimed in writing.
I have a recording, but I never.
No, yeah. Nor verbally that you were a sovereign citizen. They have in writing that they define sovereign citizen as a domestic terrorist. So he said that your issues were domestic terrorist issues. That your issues were standing for your rights, for addressing the issue of deprivation of rights under color of law. He's saying, I know he didn't say that it's a terrorist issue. I'm telling you why they define it. See, going to define it. Don't see issues. He's called you issues, sovereign citizen issues, which means he's saying that they're domestic terrorist issues. You want to raise the issue of the definition that they give to sovereign citizen. They define a sovereign citizen as domestic terrorist. You addressing the issue of deprivation of rights under color of law. That's discrimination.
Yeah, I got the papers to file.
You can raise a discrimination suit in district court, not with them.
Yeah, that's what I'm
All right? That they define, they classify your issue as domestic terrorist issues. As they define sovereign citizen as a domestic terrorist.
How'd they get away with that?
A lot of people not being silent on it. And we need to address the issue as a unified body. The problem is, our weakness is, brother, our weakness is, in this Moorish movement, if we're doing things individually, brother. Brother, that is a weakness. That is a weak position. When the so-called Indians, for 20 years, we have what's called the Cultural Survival Incorporated. Cultural Survival Incorporated is a conglomeration of, let me count them, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 organizations. It's a conglomeration of 11 organizations that spent 20 years of field work getting the American Declaration of Rights of Indigenous People, which was adopted by the Organization of American States in June of 2016. They got newspapers, radio stations, 11, not 11 people, 11 organizations under one umbrella. That's power. That's power. 11 organizations under one umbrella, Cultural Survival Incorporated. 20 years of field work. We're doing things individually. We need to address this sovereign citizen as a body. They're calling you a domestic terrorist.
Also, to follow,
Let me finish here. You show your Moorish nationality card. This is discrimination of the Gazoo. You pull out your Moorish nationality card. If they call you a sovereign citizen, they're discriminating against your Moorish nationality. They are calling you a domestic terrorist. You have a right to a name. Now, a Moor classified as black. And Moor classified as black pulls out a driver's license. They won't be classified as a sovereign citizen, domestic terrorist. You pull out your Moorish nationality card. They call you a domestic terrorist or a sovereign citizen. Which means they're finding you a domestic terrorist. They're calling you a domestic terrorist is a violation of international and national law. United Nations Human Rights Proclamation, 1948, Article 15 reads, Article 15, Section 1, everyone has a right to a name and nationality. United Nations Rights of the Child, Declaration of the Rights of the Child, 1979. Principle 3, every child at birth shall have right to a name and nationality. You pull out your Moorish nationality card and call you a sovereign citizen. That is a lawsuit. You got to sue. But the problem is they keep doing things individually. They are calling you a domestic terrorist. You declaring your Moorish nationality, they're calling that act a domestic terrorist act. That is a violation of national and international law. And we have to address it. We can't let it go We got to address it. Why? Because we want to bring our people in. We got to address it because our brothers are afraid. But more will be afraid. You got to understand what they're doing. They're injecting fear. They're trying to stop the progress. They're injecting fear. We got to address it. We can't let it go. You got to understand what they're trying to do, their strategy. But we ain't got no damn counter strategy. We need a strategy. No domestic terrorists. You're not black, Negro, colored. They're violating national and international law by classifying our people as black, Negro, colored, and African American on the Census Bureau, on the census, on job applications, and jobs, hospitals, recreation centers. All right? Question, sister. Go ahead.
Just to kind of follow.
Where's the mic?
To answer the brother's question in the back, partially, what I've seen in my past experience of going to court, there have been a few Moors, and they don't know a lot of things. Like, they don't even know that they're putting themselves into the jurisdiction of the court by answering the questions and not even addressing number one jurisdiction, number one status.
Due process issues.
Correct.
Yes.
That's basically it.
All right.
So what's the best way to navigate until we can come together and fight the whole issue of the national and international law?
All right, let me stop you. Let me stop you. Let me stop you. I'm gonna answer this, please. Let me stop you. I get that a lot, brother. Trust me, I get that a lot. I get that I get that a lot. And I'm saying to you, brother, I'm saying to the audience, that we have to make that a main issue. We got to make our unity a main issue. I've been involved. All right, the problem is that I've been involved too long, and I've seen a lot, and it's been going on, brothers. I've heard that 100 times. I've heard that for over 20 years until we, and I hope one day that I can live to not hear that anymore. If I can live long enough to never hear that anymore, that would be the greatest day of my life. To not hear that anymore would be the greatest day of my life. The second greatest day of my life. I've heard that too much. And I'm saying we need to make that a major issue. I'm not dismissing your question, bro. I just, for those put it, that we got to make this a major issue. I will be reissuing the Masonry newspaper. I'm going to Chicago to speak to Masons, These Are Stars, and it's open to the public. My Masonic contact has oversees Masons in 7 major cities in the Midwest. So Masons from 7 to 10 cities will be there in Chicago. They sees over 300 people. We have to make this the main issue. Because we continue to do this individual fight. So what I would suggest to you, brother, is to work with me. If you can be a distributor for Masonic Gate newspaper, brother, as I'll put it out again, so that we can make this a main issue, man. So because the sovereign citizen is an attack against us. So we have to make this a major issue through committee, education. It has to become a main issue. It has to. Because because what they're doing is instilling fear. I'm a Moor. Oh, you're a sovereign citizen. And then here we go. Once they label you as that, now you never say you're a sovereign citizen. You pull out your Moorish nationality card. Oh, sovereign citizen. No, I'm not. I'm being real. They have a bulletin, y'all. A sister sent me, in Sacramento, she sent me a bulletin by one of the counties in California that they've sent out to various agencies where they define sovereign citizen as a domestic terrorist. So once you pull out your Moorish nationality card or say you're a Moor, they will say sovereign citizen. That's a code for attack. I need y'all to see the issue of this. This is major, y'all. Sovereign citizen. Domestic terrorist. So now they're on high alert. They're on high alert now. We have to address this as a major issue. If we want to bring an influx of unconscious people into this movement, not make them, we got to address that. You talking about scared? You got to address that. Because we can't have our people walking around being proud of their Moorish nationality and then, oh, sovereign citizen. We can't have that. We can't have that. So we will have to sue them. We're going to have to sue. We got to sue these counties. We got to sue that. We got to sue. We got to sue. Not an individual. We got to sue. What I'm going to do, and one of the issues the Masonic got put out 100,000 copies, is make that a feature article and address the issue of leading to a suit. We got to sue. We got to. We can't let this go. I'm telling you, this is a major issue. Because it's going to continue to escalate. If we just turn our back and we're just fighting individually, it's going to continue to escalate. Because they putting these bullets out, y'all. They got bullets out that they send out to various agencies. And they're classifying us as domestic. They say sovereign citizen, but how are they defining it? Domestic terrorists. All right, yes, sister.
Brother Abdullah, suing is getting in their pocket and getting their attention. So what I'm thinking is, if we were going to, get our young people or retired people who want to go back and learn law, go to law school, whatever, to learn how to do these Title 42s, these Section 1983s,
Title 18, yeah.
Title 18,
yes.
just anything that will give them the ability to get
But there's, I know how to do certain things. There's people who know how to do suits. We can, yes. So we don't even have to wait on all that. Yes, you're talking about going to law school. That's going to take too long. Yes. I'm talking about doing something within the next 6 months. I'm not talking no 5 years. No. We gotta move on this. Because they moving on this and they sending out these bullets. I was in June. I did at the club, at the pub. It's a restaurant at Camden. European owns it. One of my former co-workers set me up. He knows the owner. He's a brother. He's a Mason. He's a brother. So he set me up to do the event there while I was there like 4 or 5 hours, and teachers came in that I knew a lot of people there, and so I had my table set up while people come into the restaurant, it was packed, Well, before it became packed and everything. It was a European. A couple of the brothers had made me over here. They wanted to see wanted to see what I was doing, and the European was there, and he looked at it, and he asked me. He flipped through the book, and he asked me, "Am I a sovereign citizen?" So I was like, went over to my friend Mason. I said, "He's a cop." Mm-hmm. He said, "Well, how you know he's a cop?" I ain't gonna just say something, but I'm gonna, say he's a cop. Well, how you know he's a cop? Because he asked me if I'm a sovereign citizen. He said, "Well, yeah." I said, "No. If he was a Mason only, I said, brother, the only people that would ask that, right? The only people that will ask that question are cops. They're giving a bullet out. The average Joe officer, they're not going to ask that. They don't even know to ask that. Right. To ask, I said, he's a cop. I mean, nothing wrong with that. I mean, it's not wrong that he's a cop. I'm just saying that he's a cop, Yeah. Yeah, because they said, so I was asking me, I know that's my book, Moors-Masonry. All right? I ain't nothing in there that says sovereign citizen. Nothing. No term. The word term sovereign citizen does not appear anywhere in Moors-Masonry. Or even calling, here I am, my domestic terrorist. By calling me a sovereign, by asking me if I'm a sovereign citizen, classified in my book, even information, that's domestic terrorist. You gotta understand what they're doing.
So they label your body of work is
right. That's right. Yes, Doctor.
This is just not a question. This is a comment.
Please, Mike.
I think it can hear me because I'm right here.
Yeah, she's close to it.
In terms of unity, you spoke about, the fact that we are, there's no unity amongst the Moors. The term crabs in a basket. We always say, oh, they're like crabs in a basket. I recently learned that, every time we see a crab going up, another crab is pulling it down. But the reason why crabs link on or grab onto the other crab is because it's an act of solidarity. It's not to pull the other crab back so much as it is to link up with the other crab. Not to get a leg up, but to be in solidarity. And I think that that's the problem within, I get a lot of different comments. I get this Moorish order doesn't like this Grand Sheik or this, I ascribe to this Sheik or this Sheikist or this Grand Sheik. And I'm relatively new in this, in the last 6.5 years and in the last couple of years really paying attention. But just to see, you want to come into something like this, you don't want to see within what's supposed to be the truth, the same thing that you saw in the world of being unconscious to who you are.
That's my point.
And so if they can link up, crabs are really, they misclassified it as a power play, but what it really is solidarity. We do need to link up. We need to grab the arm of the other one and be stronger together than we are apart.
Cultural Survival Incorporated, 11 organizations. That's astounding. I'm amazed at that because I wish that existed among us. I wish I've never seen that over 25 years, and I've never seen that. I'm envious of that. I'm envious of Cultural Survival Incorporated. I am. I'm being straight up with you. I am. To read that, I was like, damn. Wishing that was us. Because if that was us, we could do so much. Just imagine we had 11 nationalized Moorish body united as one. Instead, you have Moorish body politics fighting each other. Who got the biggest stick? And meanwhile, cop in Chicago 2 years ago shot a 16-year-old boy point blank way. We arguing over bullshit. A cop, European cop, shoots one of our brothers, 16 years old. He shoots him once. The boy, walking by trying to get him, and he shoots him once. Boy falls to the ground. Cop walks over to him. European cop walks over to him. We talking about bullshit. European cop walks over to him. Point blank range, execution style. Boom, 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 boom. The police chief held the tape for 1 year. They had a murderer on desk duty, paid by the people. A murderer was paid by the people for 1 year until the tape was released and was out. Of course, they fired the police chief and everything. And of course, they prosecuted, they indicted the European cop. We arguing bullshit. We got an issue like that going on. I mean, brother, I had to address that, brother. Brother, I've heard that so many times, brother. I've had it. Until I heard that. What I will ask you or encourage you to do is get more involved. All right?
Understood.
Any other questions? I will not apologize. What I said, I will not apologize. Okay. Any other questions?
Your meeting in 1 week?
Yes. Are you going?
I want to go.
I thought you were not. All right. You passed from New York. I'm gonna,
Right.
Right.
And I have a cousin who's a lawyer.
Mm-hmm.
But he's down with his people, but he's talking to him and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
So I'd like to meet him there.
All right. Yeah. I mean, it'll be. I can email you the flyer after the class.
Please.
Just give me your number, and I'll just. No, I need your email, not number. I need your email, because I can't
Okay. Right.
text it. The way it's set up, I have to email it, so I need your email.
No problem.
And I can email you the flyer. So just write the email down and put it in. Any other questions?
Yes, you said we need to do things collectively. I got the paperwork.
Culture Survival Incorporated.
So contact
Keep that in
them.
mind. Just keep that in mind.
So contact them basically.
No.
What I'm saying as far as
No. I was using Culture Survival Incorporated as an example because that's 11 organizations under one umbrella. That's all.
Oh, I
So
got
when I said Culture Survival Incorporated, I was saying that's where we hopefully one day before I transition that we can be.
Right.
All right, that's all.
Okay, got you. So my question is, who would I contact? Because I already got the paperwork to file, like to get a waiver of the fee and to
Right.
actually file the complaint in the suit for federal court. Who would I contact to do a class action suit?
No, but well,
that
you're gonna have right. So far as what you're doing, because the class action is gonna take time. You need to move forward.
So just
You're gonna move forward because you talk class action suit. That's something that takes longer.
okay.
If you don't, yes. So you just move forward with your individual suit.
Okay.
Trust fund. Brother Todd, when I got involved in '93, that was one of the issues that Todd was pushing for us to do a class action suit. There was among conscious Moors at that time, and of course, things got separated and we went back to the individual issue again, and we've never been able to do that. It's frustrating though, seeing this. Trust me, I'm not frustrated to the point, but I would never As long as I got breath in this body, I will continue to fight to my dying breath. I'll let you know. To my dying breath, that's when I stop. I stop, that's when I'm going to stop. I'm going to stop, that's when I stop. All right? My dying breath. Yeah, I said that to you already. That's when I'm going to stop. All right? I'm going to be writing a couple of a series of children's books that we're working on. All right?
Can you announce
Yes.
your appearance in Chicago
Yes.
territory for those who are watching?
Yes.
Just so they'll know.
Take this off. All right. It's titled, this is the title I gave it. No, restoring the knowledge of nationality, birthright, and astronomy, timekeeping and measurement, to the African Masons and Eastern Stars, though it is open to the public. Abdulah El Talib Mosi Bey at the Hall, 5223 West Lake Street. 5223 West Lake Street, Chicago, Illinois, 60644. Once again, it's at the Hall, 5223 West Lake Street, Lake Street, Chicago, Illinois, 60644. Saturday, October 21st. Saturday, October 21st.
So it's next Saturday.
Next Saturday, from 5 to 8. Donation, 5 notes, open to the public, open to the community at large. Contact illustrious C. Casper Jr., that's the Mason who called me in August. C. Casper Jr., 33rd degree, 773-999-3504. Illustrious K. Lindsay, 33rd degree, text only, 773-575-0526. Brother Antonio Ma'at Ra'il, 773-619-6472. All right? And I have, let me show you, show the flyer. I have the winding staircase. Let me put that, get it up. All right, I'll increase the size. That's the winding staircase that they use in masonry. You have the 3, 5, 7, and the first set of steps is your 3 representing Orion's belt, with the 3 constellation of 3 stars. You have Taurus, which is the constellation of 5 stars, and Pleiades, which is the constellation of 7, 3, 5, 7. So that you have that alignment of that the conceptual conjunction of Orion, Taurus, and Pleiades, and then you have Sirius. All right. So what I did on the flyer is took what they use and put the astronomy to it. All right. So that's the place seats 300 people. All right. Seats 300. I'm excited about this. And I said they have my Masonic brother Casper is the chief regional head of Midwestern chief regional head. He oversees Masons in 7 major cities in the Midwest. All right, so it's being marketed. It's over 1,000 Masons have seen the flyer. And these are stars have seen the flyer. They're marketing, on their site, on Saturday, next week. 5 to 8, all right? But it's open to the public. It's open to the community at large.
And it's where to where?
What's that?
What's the address again?
All right.
5223 West Lake Street,
Yep, you got it.
Chicago, Illinois, 60644. 5223 West Lake Street, Chicago, Illinois, 60644.
It's 10:07. All right, it's 10:07. We're going to end now, or yes, myself time. All right, so thank you again. I trust I did some good.
And a really good.
Once again, real quick to get Moors and Masonry, go to moorsandmasonry.org. Go to moorsandmasonry.org to get the book Moors and Masonry. moorsandmasonry.org. All right. Thank you again. Yes, and part 3 of the absence of Moorish history and the Black academia will be on the second Friday of November. And I'll be dealing with the diplomatic relations between the Moroccan Empire and the United States between 1770 and 1815. All right?
Thanks again.
Thank you. I need to sign this for you.
Okay.
Let me sign that for you. I'll do that now.